Hello my friends, this is Amner Hunter from amnerhunter.com, the place where you can get tons of free resources, content and tools for music production and guitar. Thank you very much for being here and welcome to this new video. Today I want to share with you 5 very important steps that you need to follow if you're not doing them before starting to mix a song. These tips that I'm gonna give you can be applied in any DAW. You don't need my specific DAW to follow them. All of them have similar or equal tools to do this. I promise you, if you follow these steps before starting to mix, your workflow will improve. You will mix faster, better, and more focused on the art of mixing and the creativity. Before we dive into the video, my friends, I would like to invite you to my website, amnerhunter.com. I have some free stuff for you. I have a couple of PDF ebooks. I have a set of tools, presets of some plugins, a super package of guitar impulses. Also, I'm gonna be giving away in this video my workflow template for Cubase that I use in all of my sessions. Make sure to check out my current giveaway. I'm giving away more than $1,000 in prizes, and also check out my blog, which I'm updating weekly with tons of free content. All of the applicable links are going to be down below in the description, so let's get to the content. I have a brand new session here in Cubase. As I said, you don't need this software to follow these steps. Before we import the tracks that we are about to mix, it's very important that we set up the sample rate and bit depth of our project. You can ask the recording engineer of the song or the musicians maybe, or if you record yourself, you know what were the specifications. In this case, if we go here to project setup, we can see the sample rate 44.1, which is usually the standard. Some people use 48 kilohertz. Make sure to set up this before importing the tracks, because if you don't have this information accurate, the tracks will not align properly. Sometimes the tracks get lengthy or shorter than they are. It's gonna be a mess. For instance, in this project, I'm using 44.1 kilohertz and 24 bits in WAV file. I'm just gonna hit OK. Also, before importing the files, we need to make sure to set up the correct tempo of the song. In my case, it's in 96 beats per minute. It will be useful for you if you want to edit things or to move things. If you put the grid, it will make you move faster and more accurate during the passages of the song. Also, later on in the mix, if you use effects such as compression, delay, reverbs, you're gonna be able to sync the time of those effects, the release times, the delay times, the reverb times in sync with the tempo of your song. Now that this is set up, we're gonna import the files. This is the folder that contains the WAV files of the recordings. So let's just open up, hit OK, and it will start importing all of the tracks. After it finished, it will pop up this message, at least in Cubase, and I believe in other DAWs as well. It says that if you want to insert objects in one track or different tracks, so we want them in different tracks. Hopefully, if the recording engineer or you are organized, you put names on the tracks that you exported from the recording, so they will be imported with those track names. So it's very useful to know which instrument is which. Step number 3 is to actually listen to the song. You can ask, well, Amner, isn't that obvious? Well, it is obvious, but a lot of people don't do that at the beginning of the session. They start to playing with the faders, adding plugins before actually knowing the song and actually having an idea of what the songs like, what are the elements of the mix. You can also write down some notes while you're listening. Let's say you can think, well, I want to pan the guitars hard left, hard right, the bass is jumping all over the place, maybe that guitar is too fizzy, too harsh, stuff like that that you can write down and will make you have some points to address when you're mixing. You don't need to add any plugin, just make sure probably the levels are gonna be all over the place. It's gonna be too loud because you haven't gain staged, you haven't balanced the faders and a lot. Just make sure to lower the volume of the master bus here, and you can just play the song. Very quickly you can have an idea of the genre of the song, the instruments that are being featured. You have guitars, drums, vocals, bass. Actually, you can do the next step while listening to the track. Step number 4, my friends, we need to organize the session in group tracks and color code all of the tracks. Let me show you quickly how I do it. I like to have the instruments in order as when they were recorded. So we usually start with the rhythm, with the drums, then the bass, then the guitars, maybe the synths, and at the end it's usually that we record the vocals. So I like to organize the session in that order. So let's just start with the kick drum, the snare. You can add the toms maybe, then let's add the hi-hat, the cymbals or overheads left, right. We have our room mic, put the bass, then the rhythm guitars, the clean guitars, lead guitars, and then the vocals. Vocals 1, 2. Then what I like to do is put colors on each group of instruments. I like to use blue on all of the drum tracks. I have been mixing for years and this is the way that I do it. It's part of my workflow now. It's a habit that I have. The bass, I leave it in gray. The rhythm guitars, I put it in green. Clean guitars in another type of green. Again, you can do it in the color that you wish. Lead guitars, another type of green. Vocals, I like to put it in purple. Vocals too could be another type of purple or pink, like that, right? And that way visually I can locate very quickly to the different group of instruments. When you move throughout the mixer, you also have a good representation of where the instruments are. After we ordered and color coded each of the instruments, I like to add group tracks. In Pro Tools and other DAWs, they are called bus tracks. Let's say for instance, I like to group the kick drum, the snare, and the toms in one track. I'm gonna create one here. Just add a group track or bus. I will put it in stereo because I know that kick drum and snare are mono, but I'm gonna pan the toms differently in the mix. So I'm gonna put a stereo group track to be able to have control of that. I'm gonna put it kick, snare, toms. I usually put my group tracks in yellow. After that, I like to group the overheads, rooms, and hi-hat into one track. It will be a stereo track, hi-hat, cymbals, room. Then I like to have a general group for all of the drums. I call it all the time all drums, for instance. You do that with the guitars as well, since guitars are gonna be panned left and right, rhythm guitars, and we do that with vocals and leads and all that. Also, I like to add a group track for all the instruments without the vocals, like that. This will allow you to have control in case that you only want to solo or mute certain instrument or move certain fader. Let's say if you want more volume on the drums, by doing this with just one fader, you can boost or lower the volume of that individual group track. At the end, I like to add one final group track or bus called all band, where all of the instruments are being sent. Now that you created the group tracks, you start to send each instrument to each of the groups. In the individual channel here in Cubase, you select this stereo out, select that group, right? So snare goes to kick, snare, toms group, so on and so forth. Guitars, vocals, all vocals. Also, the group tracks need to be sent to the specific group. For instance, kick, snare, toms can be sent to the all drums. Hi-hat, cymbals also belong all drums. The all drums belong to the all instruments, guitars, all instruments, and all instruments sent to the all band, all vocals, all band as well. Step number 5, my friends, we need to create markers to identify the parts of the song, whether it be the intro, the verses, the chorus. It will make you work faster and move faster. Here in Cubase, I will add a marker track. We add the track and we put it at the beginning here. What we can do now is listen again to the song without touching any faders, without putting any EQ, just identify where is the intro, for instance here, and we add a marker. We can edit the marker and put it intro here. Then let's say this is the first verse, so you add a marker, and your DAW might be different, but all of the DAWs have this function. So verse 1, let's say this is the first chorus of the song, chorus 1, and so on and so forth. You can change the color, you can put it in any color that you want. In that way, you will move faster throughout the structure of the song. Let's say that you want to go to the verse, so you just click number 2, number 3 for the chorus, right? So it's very quickly. As a bonus tip, my friends, also something that I like to do before starting to mix is a little bit of edit. You can listen to the song and cut the parts that you're not going to need at the end of the track. Also at the beginning, you might have some noises of the recording, so you can cut that out also. I like to go checking out the track. Sometimes there are unnecessary noises between takes. Sometimes they are clean, but sometimes don't. Also, I like to check the tom tracks. Most of the times when someone recorded an acoustic drum kit, there are a lot of cymbals bleeding into the microphones of the toms, so I would cut the toms. I would edit those tracks as well. If I edit and I cut stuff that I don't need, later on when I'm mixing, I can focus more on the creative side of things. It is actually more fun, you know, to start moving the faders, starting adding plugins. I'm more focused on the art of mixing. This will improve my workflow. I will mix more efficient, faster, and having more fun on the process. Let me know in the comments, my friends, what you think about these tips. Do you use any of these approaches before mixing? And don't forget, my friends, I'm putting down below also the link for you to download for free my Cubase mixing template. I didn't add any plugins, it's just the template that I use with colors, with group tracks. So if you're a user of Cubase, you might find it useful. Go ahead and check it out, my friends. Totally free. Don't forget to go to my website amnorhunter.com, where I have some other freebies as well. I have a couple of PDF ebooks, a set of tools, presets of some plugins, also a super package of guitar impulses. Check out my current giveaway. I'm giving away more than $1,000. Check out the blog, which I'm updating weekly with tons of free content. Thank you very much for watching the video, my friends, and see you on the next one, alright?